Hi, my name is Chun You, and I'm currently a technical director in Random42, which is based in London. And I'm also an alumni from DMD09 batch, and I graduated in 2011. I was studying maths and science throughout most of my education, and I've always doodled on my own free time, and of course, sometimes during class time. And I was thinking that wouldn't it be great if I actually studied art? And that was when I found NYP during one of the open houses, and just got interested by and impressed by the displays. And that was how I started on my animation career. I wanted to do a bit of maths and science again because the grass is always greener on the other side. So I went to Bournemouth, which actually has a course that does both programming and art. After that, I got employed straight out of uni to a company called Random42. At Bournemouth University, I studied a course called Computer Visualization and Animation, and that was it was a course meant for technical directors. So they teach both programming as well as the art side of 3D animation. And the course is part of the NCCA, so it's recognized by the Queen itself, and quite a large amount. It has quite a huge contact with the industry. So I chose the place, and I got exposed to a lot of talks, just like what NYP does for the students. They bring back alumni as well as industry people to give lectures and talks. So I also had that in London, and after that I graduated and went on to start my career in Random42. The current company I'm working at, Random42, is a scientific visualization company, animation company. And in the company, as a role of a technical director, most of my work involves creating pipeline and tools for the company to use, as well as if there are projects that are difficult to solve or achieve, they'll pass it on to me, and I'll try to figure out a solution and deliver it to the client within a set time. What I enjoyed most about my work is actually the problem-solving parts. Because problem solving is like solving, those quiz or Sudoku that you play. Once you solve it, you actually have a great sense of accomplishment. And it's kind of a mix between the maths as well as the art side of stuff. For art side, you have to be creative to find a solution to the problem. And you have to have the technical know-how to be able to implement that solution. The greatest challenge I face during my time as a technical director is actually trying to solve a problem within a set amount of time. Because usually when the problem comes, no one knows of a solution. And it's like you have to tell them, you have to promise them a certain deadline to come up with a solution that you are not even sure exists or not. So I think that is the one that is the most difficult and stresses me out the most. One unique aspect of working in London, I would say primarily my company itself, would be that there's a lot of artistic freedom as well as a lot of trust in the employees. There's also not much of hierarchy in the company, whereby even when fresh grads come in, sometimes these fresh grads will bring in new creative ideas or new spin on stuff. And the art directors and stuff, we actually listen to them, and that actually helps to keep our pipeline more robust, updated, and maybe more unique. The company comprised of I think close to 100, less than 100 people, but that is split across 3 departments: the marketing, the science, as well as the production department. For a project basis, usually it could be one person to a team of maybe 5 or 6, depending on the scale of the project. One thing the company appreciates the most is actually the willingness to learn, to explore. As in the CG industry, technology is constantly improving and changing, and it is actually up to the individual to keep up to date with what is actually happening. So having the willingness to learn, even not only during work hours, but even out of work hours, is actually extremely appreciated. To not only do work when there's like homework or there's school projects, but actually explore on your own time and it constantly improve your skills and know what is actually out there in the industry, because that will make you relevant, like even when you jump from job to job. SIDM had a huge impact in my CG career, because before entering SIDM, I did not have any art background and I had no clue about what animation was. After entering SIDM, they taught me the fundamentals of how animation works. As well, we went through the general pipeline of how a studio would operate, for example. And that itself is very beneficial to at least have a fundamental to base on as I work myself up. I think my take on the merging of the two courses is actually a pretty good idea, because based on personal experience, after I graduated from secondary school, I did not have a single clue about how animation works. So in a way, I'm jumping in blind. However, having the first year allowing you to have a general oversight of 2D, 3D, as well as visual effects. Once you reach your second year, you'll be able to make a more informed decision, as well as if later down in your career, you decide you want to change like a career path, for example, because of the first year of studies, you kind of have a gist, a general idea of how each path actually needs or how it works. And it's actually easier to find the exact knowledge that is required to jump from field to field. Special and fond memories I have while studying was actually a few of us. We usually would go to, at the time, our course coordinator was Miss Grace. So from time to time, we would actually pop by her office and have like a bit of a chit chat session. And it kind of gives me the feeling that this is, like, of course, we respect her as a teacher, but during the non-study, non-lecture time slots, it kind of like we are communicating with a friend, and that will help create a better bond between lecturers and students, which may not be prevalent in other areas of studies or other institutions. I think going on from here, I will be doing the same as I usually do, which is continue to learn, improve and grow in terms of my CG skills.